I wanted to talk today about a proven scent routine that's worked for 3 decades plus for me personally, going back really to the late 80s. And it's something that's simple. I think we can overcomplicate things in the whitetail world, especially with various products, gels, contraptions, whatever it might be. There's always that gadget that's tempting hunters to go out there and buy it because it's proven that if you spray this, if you do this, you'll melt into the woods like nothing's there and you won't ever spook a whitetail. And folks, that just simply isn't true. I'm going to talk about scent routine, what I do when I leave the truck, and what I feel is important. And for one thing, we have a lot of videos showing me I dress outside the truck. I don't wear my clothes inside the truck. There's so many scents that you can pick up from the seat, from the air inside the truck, and that really worries me. I had a friend in the past that used vinyl seat covers for hunting, and I think that's, you know, certainly a step up. But for me, whether it's 10 degrees, 5 degrees, below zero, I'm dressing outside the truck when I go out in the woods. And I do that because I have clean clothes. And there's a lot of good scent elimination products out there that you can wash your clothes in, treat your clothes. I use Elimination. It seems like a great product. I use that for washing, for spraying. But, you know, first starts with washing your clothes. And I wash them right in our regular washing machine. I've heard of guys that buy separate washing machines and dryers for the hunting clothes, and that's one of those extremes I just don't think you have to go to. If you feel really worried about it, run a batch of hunting detergent through your washer and wash your clothes twice, whatever you have to do to make it think. But I want clean clothes, and I keep those clean clothes in a Rubbermaid. Now, Dylan, who I sit in the woods with a lot, and we've filmed going back to 2016. He's the one behind the camera right now, along with his partner Brennan. Well, Dylan a lot of times will put leaves or debris inside his tote and give it that earth smell. I love natural. That's why I love natural for mock scrapes. But I love those natural scents. I've used cedar in the past in that same way when I hunted a lot in the UP in Michigan, or white pine, because they're all over the place. I'm not going to use cedar or white pine in a hardwoods. So you really want to match your conditions. But it all starts with clean clothes, clean Rubbermaid, and then I'm dressing outside the truck. So that when I head to the woods, I've picked up very little human scent on my clothing. Now, on my way into the stand, I like trails, I like stick-free, grass-free, debris-free, because all of that in the woods is like a big sponge. They're going to hold scent on your way in and out, and that just can't happen. Before I even enter the woods, though, I'm spraying down with a scent elimination spray. They've had studies that bloodhounds can smell this versus this, and they can smell the human odor even on treated clothing. Well, you know, a lot of times when you think about it, we can't completely eliminate your scent. If you think you can, you're fooling yourself. And if you're using a product that says you can, they're fooling themselves too, fooling you. And so what you're trying to do is reduce the amount of scent. And, you know, I don't care if a bloodhound can pick it up an hour later, half hour later. We're spooking deer a lot of times. If we leave a bad scent trail in the woods, we're spooking deer hours later. And that's what you want to avoid. And that's what does work. I think scent elimination spray is just another layer. I think rubber boots are just another layer. If I'm using a fabric shoe or a leather shoe, sure, rubber boot deer can smell, leather, tennis shoe, they can smell all the same probably after a half hour. But what about an hour later? What about 3 hours later? What about 6 hours later? You can leave a scent trail in the woods that deer can smell several hours later. I want to reduce that down to a rubber boot, slick surface. Rubber bottom boot during the winter time, full rubber boot, whatever it is. It all depends on the amount of vegetation you have. So you could have a 4-inch rubber boot and you're walking on soil, you're not going to leave much scent. And I love spraying down, love spraying my legs, my arms, and avoiding brush, avoiding overhanging trees. Oh my goodness, avoiding scrapes for sure. I mean, there's, you know, I've seen people touch scrapes, rub their head against it when they're walking by, their hair. I've had hunting partners have done that, and you just can't do that. Imagine that scent is there for hours. And when I get to my tree stand, so clean clothes, washing them, boots, spraying down, I'm ensuring that my access in and out is as clean as possible. I'm going to avoid on public land big, large, brushy areas if I can walk hardwoods in And for that, I'll probably spook less deer to begin with, but I'm not leaving as much scent in the woods. When I get to the stand, the worst thing you can do is stand there and take 5 minutes to get ready right on the ground under your stand. Guess what? When you leave your stand after dark, several hours later, a buck can come by and smell where you just changed your sweaty clothes, and they're gonna know that that stand is a human area. And in my experience, when you spook a buck, a mature buck, you get one chance at him typically, and that's it. So you spook him, he's gone for 3 or 4 weeks. That's past the best part of the season, and you're done with that buck for the year, and that's what it takes, and that's how I hunt. I don't want to spook that buck ever because I don't get a chance. I don't hunt in one of the fantasyland states where you can go in and have multiple bucks, even spook them out of the same set and have another one come by. That's not the case where you're hunting more high pressure areas and small properties. When I get to the stand, I want to immediately go to my highest step that I can reach, not brush any of my clothing. I want to use my rubber boots to go up that stand and touch as high as I can so I'm not leaving that fingerprint at 3 foot, which is deer nose height. And I want to get up that stand. Now, some of you in the various states, you know, maybe Iowa, Kansas might be listening to me and you're like, you don't have to do that. Well, you don't have to do that in your state. You know, it's different when you have, Michigan's had over 400,000 bow hunters before Kansas has 25,000, big difference. And so these are tactics that you need to use on small properties in scent control to make sure you're fooling mature bucks. Of course, you have to have great access. You have to melt into the woods. You have to use your hills, screening, whatever it takes to get to that stand undetected, including deer hearing you. You have to have quiet stands. You have to have quiet gear. But when it comes to that scent, that's my main routine. When I leave the stand, I'm trying to do the same on the way out, and I might even use a different access trail on the way out that will leave my scent in a location, say a bedding area after dark, where they're not going to return for several hours, and hopefully I can get away with them not smelling me walking right through the transition zone for bedding to feeding that I can do at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Notice that I didn't mention anything while on stand. I do that because I did spook a buck in 2012 that was an 8-year-old, and he ended up getting downwind to me. I used all these practices and he got downwind to me, and when he did, he was gone. I believe that I could have used anything else and I still would have spooked that buck. He was an 8-year-old we were after, and he got downwind of me, just came on the wrong side after being around me for 45 minutes standing still. And he was a ghost, and when those ghosts get your scent, they're gonna be gone. I didn't mention scent while on the stand because I'm a firm believer that you have to hunt as if that mature buck, if he gets downwind of you or doe, your hunt's over. And I can honestly say, going back to those top 50 bucks, that I could have smelled like a pig with any of those bucks that I can remember, and I would have still shot them. But if I would have been leaving a scent trail in and out of the woods for the weeks leading up to that hunt, for the days leading up for that hunt, that buck would not have been there. Your scent trail that you leave in the woods to and from your stand is so critical. The more scent you lay down over your land, and if you don't have clean clothes, you don't have clean boots, you're not using a scent elimination spray, you're not clean yourself, if you have sweaty clothes exposed to a lot of brush, if you don't have clean trails going in and out, you're going to leave a scent trail that accumulates, and eventually once it spooks a mature buck, your hunt's over. That's the way I look at it, and that's the way I feel that you should look at it. That's my scent routine. When I'm on the stand, of course I'd rather be clean than dirty, but at the same time, and it might be that if you're clean on stand, a deer smells you from 200 yards away versus 100. But I'm hunting a lot of tight quarters. I'm trying to blow my scent into non-deer areas, and it's that cat and mouse game. That's why we have 13, 14, 15 stands on this 30 acres of cover, because we can come in at different angles, hunt different stands. We're not leaving a scent signature that accumulates at one stand versus another over and over again. And for that, I feel like you can get in and out of the woods like a predator. The best form of scent control for your stand location is the location of the stand itself, not how much scent elimination product you use at that stand. Try to get back to the basics this year. Try to leave a very low scent signature when you're going through the woods, and you could add sight to that. Of course, deer, you don't want them to see it, and sound. So try to blend into the woods like a predator. That's a big portion of it. It starts at the washing machine at home, the truck, dressing outside the truck. We've had some really cold mornings where we've had to basically strip down to the skivvies and put on the hunting clothes, but it's worth it in the end because we're not leaving an accumulation of scent that stretches all the way to and from a variety of stands, so that the deer, when they do eventually come through the property, and especially in the case of mature buck, they're none the wiser. Maybe that scent's still there after a half hour, but again, focus on, you don't want to leave that scent for several hours later. And if you practice that scent routine, you're going to hit 95, 98% of what you need to do to consistently harvest a mature buck every single season.